O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Ahurquit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
Welcome to today's deep dive. I am your host, and today we are looking at something pretty mind-bending.
Yeah, I'm the resident expert, and I have to say, this topic really flips the script on history.
Right. So, you know that classic image of a medieval alchemist, like a guy in a smoky cellar boiling lead, totally convinced he can turn it into literal gold.
Right, and we usually just write that off as, well, primitive chemistry that just failed.
Exactly. But our mission today is to unpack a text that argues they weren't trying to make physical gold at all. Like, what if that boiling beaker was actually a mirror?
That completely changes the paradigm. I mean, the core argument we're looking at is that alchemy was actually an elaborate, involuntary projection of the human unconscious mind.
Wait, really? So the Philosopher's Stone wasn't a shiny metal?
No, not at all. It was actually a symbol for a fully integrated human self.
Okay, so our mission is to figure out how boiling chemicals became a map for human psychology. And for anyone listening, this is where it gets really interesting. The texts say it all starts with a chaotic substance called the prima materia.
Right, the original substance for the great work.
Yeah, but I noticed a huge contradiction in the source material. This 15th century alchemist, Sir George Ripley, says this magical starting substance is literally everywhere, like brought by birds and fishes. But then he also treats it as worthless dirt, like Vili Figura, trodden underfoot. How can the most important thing in the universe be garbage?
Well, to understand that, we have to look at the psychological mechanism of projection. You see, humans really hate a vacuum. We need a narrative.
Right, because they didn't have atomic science back then.
Exactly. When these alchemists looked at bubbling, unknown chemicals, they were staring into a void. Lacking the vocabulary of molecules, their brains just pasted their own unresolved psychological dramas right onto the physical matter.
So the chemical reactions became a blank screen.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the worthless dirt isn't physical dirt. It's like the stuff inside us that we treat like dirt.
That is exactly it. It is the human shadow. The messy, irrational, deeply rejected parts of our personality.
The stuff the conscious ego just loves to discard.
Right. But the secret of alchemy is that those exact, discarded, lowly pieces are the mandatory raw materials for actual psychological transformation. You can't just look up at your shining ideals. You have to look down at the dirt.
So if you're listening, it's like that deeply embarrassing memory keeping you awake at 2 a.m. or, a sudden burst of anger you pretend you don't have.
Yeah, the text is saying don't run from that. That is your actual starting material.
Got it.
And working with it is incredibly volatile. The source actually says you need ignis generalis to transform this dirt.
Wait, hellfire? Why do we need infernal heat? Like, I usually picture self-improvement as peaceful meditation, calm growth. Why does it require going to hell?
Well, because your polite everyday ego is repressing a burning, demonic, instinctual energy. Genuine change requires the intense heat of those dark instincts.
Oh, wow. So it's not a peaceful process at all.
Not at all. The text talks about entering the Negredo, which is a blacker-than-black stage of suffering. It's described as Adam's Earth, where your old self essentially has to rot so new life can germinate.
That sounds absolutely terrifying. You basically have to watch your own identity decompose.
It is terrifying. There's a great alchemical myth about this, actually. The drowning king's son trapped at the bottom of the sea.
And the sea represents the dark, collective, unconscious, right?
Exactly. To rescue him, which means rescuing the divine spark of your new self, your conscious mind has to brave a night sea journey straight into the abyss.
But if you just dive head first, you drown.
Right, you need a regulating mechanism. The alchemists used the archetype of Mercurius for this. In drawings, he's standing on a chaotic globe, holding a pair of scales to represent pondus et mensura, or weight and measure.
Ah, I see. So if the unconscious is this overwhelming ocean, Mercurius's scales are our rational tether. Without that conscious judgment anchoring us, we don't achieve wholeness.
Exactly. We just get completely swallowed by madness. It's a constant dialectical tension. The chaotic energy pushes against your rational mind.
Right.
And holding those opposing forces together creates friction, which eventually forms the perfected, serene self. The ancients called it the spheros.
So wrapping this up for you listening right now, the whole alchemical opus wasn't a primitive chemistry manual. It was a brilliant, unconscious blueprint for individuation.
Right, transmuting our own chaos into a balanced reality.
Which leaves us with this final thought. If medieval alchemists unknowingly used the blank frontier of chemistry to project their deepest psychic dramas, what modern, unexplored scientific frontiers are we projecting our unconscious minds into today?
That is the big question. Like, are we doing the same thing with deep space or artificial intelligence?
Exactly. So next time you picture an alchemist looking for gold, ask yourself what void you are staring into and, what you are really hoping to find.